2001, The Space Odyssey is a very famous movie, arguably the most influential movie ever, certainly for the genre of science fiction, but it's also notoriously hard to understand, especially for younger people, people who weren't there when it came out, people who don't like abstract or expressionistic art. So this video is to help you. Here are my top 11 shots, overlooked shots that could help you, one, interpret the movie, two, appreciate it better. Let's go. Shot number one is the opening of the movie, at least for my Blu-ray. I'm pretty sure this is theatrical release, and guess what? It's totally black. Now, this isn't the Void of Space. What this is a black screen and just music playing. This is the opening musical prologue, the shot that plays. I think this is absolutely crucial because this shot even critiques this video I'm making in which I'm foregrounding visuals because it tells you the audio, the music, the sonic landscape of this movie is vital, maybe more important than the visuals, or as important. And listen to the music, listen to how it emotes, makes you develop. And of course, the also sprach Zarathustra Priest by Richard Strauss is supposed to help you evolve based a little bit on Nietzsche's philosophy and dovetailing with the movie where David Bowman evolves into the Star Child and goes beyond perhaps or presumably the human perspective. Point being, listen to the sound effects, the music, and the dialogue. They're absolutely crucial to interpreting and understanding or comprehending this movie. Shot number two is the first shot of the Dawn of Man sequence, and there's several shots like this that begin that sequence of the opening landscape, sort of a savanna kind of desert-like landscape. Some water, some vegetation, but not much. What I love about this is it's red. The color red shows up throughout the movie as one, aggression, all the things that the color red typically mean: aggression, anger, war, violence, the threat of violence. And a rosy-fingered dawn even shows up in Homer, the Iliad and the Odyssey, Homer's great epics, which of course this movie is directly referencing in its title, 2001: A Space Odyssey. The rosy-fingered dawn is a new chapter in the Odyssey and the Iliad. It also might mean the threat of war, and of course if you're on the sea sailing, a red dawn is notoriously scary because, hey, a storm might be coming. That's exactly what happens in Dawn of Man, with not only the fight between the two primate tribes, but then the monolith shows up and changes everything. That brings up my third shot, which are the primates, one of the primate tribes, in a cave at night, and you see them, they look bored and scared and anxious. And why wouldn't they be? One, they're not at the top of the food chain. You see cheetahs or some kind of predatory cat going after them. Two, they've got other primates fighting them. So I love the look of this figure here. The scared ape, the scared primate. Is this figure human, or is it not human? This is the question we're going to be asking throughout the entire movie of every single figure. HAL 9000, the Star Child at the end, and maybe the other humans. What I actually like about this, and it seems kind of hokey for movies, is that there's a human being inside here, obviously in a primate costume. And normally, while that seems hokey and cheap, for this movie to combine a human in a primate suit is trying to tell you that this is the ancestor or concestor of human beings and primates or apes or chimps or something like that. And it sort of blends the two together in this shot. But the worry, the fear, the anxiety, is that me, a human, projecting onto this animal, or does it really have those things because it's a proto-human in a sense? My number 4 overlook shot, and you can't not notice it, is the floating pen sequence, a highly realistic sequence where they simulated zero gravity. In 1968, this was awesome because no one really had a lot of understanding of what zero gravity would be like, or a visual representation of it. Here's a flight, a Pan American flight, that's transporting several people, or maybe just a person, to the rotating circular floating ship out in space orbiting Earth. What I absolutely love about this is the pin. They picked the pin. Kubrick did, or somebody did. And why a pin? Floating elongated objects in 2001 are everywhere. You have the ships, you have the bone thrown by the ape, and you have this pin. I think they're all connected. They're all tools that people use to help them evolve, also to help dominate and control. With the bone in the ships, that's the way that humans lord it over other humans, maybe animals, in the entire Earth. They had the power, the weapons, and so on. So the bone in the nuclear ship in this movie are those threats of violence that allow some creatures to dominate others, humans to dominate other creatures. But maybe that's what pens do. So that, or writing, the tool and technology of writing is a technology like bones, like ships, like computers. But there's another catch, and this may be in tension with what I just said. This is a technology that might be out of date. It's been let loose from the hand. Video and movies here have taken over and are dominating this movie more so than writing. Writing is an older technology, maybe reading, maybe books are. Here you see the pen floating as I captured the shot over the video screen on the back of a chair. Now a common sight on flights, domestic and international, in a lot of parts of the world. People watching movies and TV, maybe not reading a lot of books on airplanes. But here in the movie, you had the video phone, the video screens, the BBC broadcast later on. Video is going to dominate. People don't read in this movie. They watch videos. So this might be that video is the next step in taking over for writing, which kind of is sort of true in the last 5 to 10 years as of the making of this video. My number 5 shot is the ship that Haywood Floyd is on going down to the moon base. And you see a long sequence of a ship going to the moon. Very realistic because, hey, you're from this movie. That's actually going to happen with the Apollo 11 mission. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and so on going to land on the moon. You have that sequence. Here it's landing on a moon base. I love this shot. It's this object that's actually, people are in control, for the one thing. It's landed on this platform. There's the color red everywhere, which might also be threatening. It's this idea that also associated with technology and computers, that they're dominating human systems and probably, presumably, and you see what with the screens here, computers are everywhere, taking control and doing a lot of work for us. But look down on the bottom left through the window. Humans, they're super tiny. Look how small they are. And in this movie, humanity is relegated to being, well, tiny. They're within their tools in their ships. They don't do much. They don't make too many choices. They seek, they discover, they ride, they eat, but they aren't too complex. And you don't really have a classic literary figure full of all kinds of emotions, desires, has to make ethical and moral choices like you have in some of the classic ancient epics. The epic hero here is just along for the ride, and so humans, their place in the world or the universe is diminished. That may be a sign that they need to leap forward because they're being controlled or dominated by their tools or by something beyond whoever is in control of the monolith. My number 6 shot, go over it quickly, is the moonscape. Trying to be realistic here as the ship goes along and goes to seek the monolith, but it's a place without water. Compare it to the Dawn of Man sequence. This is vast, but also haunting because it's empty, void, it has no resources, it's bare gray rock. And then in the Dawn of Man sequence, at least you had animals, vegetation, and water. Here you have nothing, and humans are going to have to figure out how to survive out in space. Of course, they're eating their ham sandwiches on that ship, which are kind of gross space-age food, and they make comments on that. So this is the ultimate desert landscape, and humans are total exiles out in space, wanderers, seekers, and so on. Number 7 image, actually I have several of these, but I like this one, is where the astronaut's running around the ship, which he's, going around a circular way like a gerbil or some kind of pet going around a wheel. And that's what I mean by the humans being controlled. They're like animals in a cage. That's exactly what I think he is. And right above his head to the right is a coffin. Now this, of course, is where there's astronauts are in hibernation. We know this. We're told this later in the movie. But that looks like a sarcophagi, a coffin. And spoiler alert, as you know, all these people are killed later on by HAL 9000. Humans within the ship, they are basically dead. And they need to evolve. David Bowman will die later in the movie. He needs to evolve. The monolith does that for him. I think one of the ideas in this movie is earthbound humanity is dead. There's nowhere to go. You have to go out in space, leap ahead, take the great leap forward, and evolve and become more than human. And that's what happens in the movie. My number 8 image is the human going out into space. I just love this one. You have this sort of birth imagery here, and you have birth and rebirth going on throughout the movie, especially in the end with a literal baby in space. This is not a baby in space, even though it kind of looks like it, the birth of a human going out and floating out into space. But this also looks weird because he's got those 2 dots on his helmet. He looks reptilian. He looks non-human, especially in his suit and in the void of space, in an unnatural world. I think that's supposed to trick our eyes. Notice the color red once again, staring right at us. But this birth into space and the scariness of floating into space will be even more haunting later on when the astronauts are just floating in space and dying. My next image comes from the expressionistic and hard to understand 4th part of the movie, Jupiter and Beyond, where you have images of eyeballs. Now, eyeballs are used throughout science fiction, particularly after this movie, and something like Blade Runner, close shots of eyeballs. Why? And then this image has been altered, obviously, with the blue and the purple. This is not a normal, obviously, looking eyeball. It's been made abstract, expressionistic. The focus on human perspective is super important in this movie, and then to go beyond the human perspective. I think that's partly what's happening as David Bowman goes through that wormhole or whatever the heck it is, encounters the monolith in a weird, not 18th century setting, and then dies and is reborn as the Star Child in space. Here he's going beyond the typical human perspective. Before this, in part 3 of the movie, you see a lot of shots of his eyes as he's in the spacesuit looking out in wonder and terror, trying to figure out how to deal with Hal. But here he's looking at something new, never before seen, to boldly go where no man has gone before. And what would that do to a human and his perceptions? That's one angle here. The other is it's signaling a whole new way of looking at the world, a new vision. And of course, with 2001, it's kind of associated with higher consciousness, whether it be mind-altering substances, as viewers actually took in 1968 and 69, LSD and whatever else, to experience the movie. But just in general, the movie itself, art itself, or the art designs of the movie itself, the aesthetic choices, are probably doing this to the viewer, and so you maybe even see yourself in this movie. This is what the movie is doing to you, trying to leap you forward, give you a new vision, and it has new wonders and terrors in the look of this human eye. To go along with that, this is a very haunting image that comes before this. This is David Bowman looking at the video, the top secret video of what his mission actually was. He's now realizing why they were going to Jupiter in the first place. This is right after he has killed or shut down HAL 9000. I absolutely love this. The red terror, the horror, the blood redness of the red, as David Bowman and Hal have had a fight, like Odysseus and the Cyclops in the Odyssey, where Odysseus obviously wounds and blinds the Cyclops. These images of light in his helmet, the reflections, the left side, the light is receding to me. On the right side of the screen, it seems to be coming into his field of vision. The light's taking. I just love this image to death. It's haunting. It's awesome. This is why Kubrick's awesome. And these are the faint images of Hal's memory and logic devices, or whatever these things are, in his helmet. It's just a wonderful vision of the man or the thing or the being he killed or shut down. My last underrated image from this, and I think most people know this anyway, but I just love the ending sequence because it's a very basic to me sequence of what it's like to age, to see yourself age and to have the memories of yourself before and to see yourself, have visions of yourself in the future. And here you have David Bowman. This is a first-person POV shot in the astronaut suit that we just saw before in the previous shot, looking out at himself eating. And of course, he's aged in the chair there, even beyond what he is in the suit. With this is a very weird image because you have the late 18th century artwork and the aristocratic decor, as it were, the high level interior design of this, but with that weird lit floor. I call this image the Last Supper. This is the last time someone eats in this movie. This is the last dinner that David Bowman will have as a human being, apparently. And as the Last Supper, he's going to die and sacrifice himself for humanity and go beyond humanity, be reborn as the savior figure, as a new human being, as a god in space, as the Star Child might be. So the Last Supper, that obviously I'm alluding to the Bible, the Gospels, the story of Jesus and his Last Supper. I don't know that David Bowman is a Christ figure. I'm not saying that, but this common hero with 1,000 faces deal with a hero's journey. You have to go into hell, undertake death, and be reborn as a god. That's David Bowman, perhaps. And here we see him as an old man eating. And this is a very difficult image because he's alone. This is an existential image. the alone alienated individual needs to go beyond this, because what else are we? This movie does not like humanity, in my opinion. We're all paranoid, cynical, we don't have good relations. The people we have relations with are distant from us on video phones. Nobody likes each other. There's no love in this movie, not a lot at least. There's a lot of fear, terror, anxiety, and paranoia all throughout this movie and almost all the conversations. And this is the result, or maybe an image of that, the lone figure eating by himself. It's very sad, so we need to go beyond that. Now check out my video on the top shots, the most famous shots from 2001. This might help augment and explain this video as I give you further ideas about 2001, trying to help you understand or comprehend this movie. I don't think anybody can understand it, but at least have some ideas about it and be able to talk confidently about it. I love this movie and I hate it. I don't like its philosophy, at least what I think it is, but obviously this movie is inspirational in 1,000 different ways and was the genesis of so many great science fiction movies that have come after. So I really appreciate it for that aspect alone. What do you think about this video and what I said? Let us know in the comments. Please subscribe to this channel for more great content. Have a great day.